Here, man. Survived the weekend. Live in full effect, boy. Do it. Fucking no cap. Boy's back. I- Weekend good to you? Just checking. Man, this is about to be the first full week. So we start amping it up, start getting a little more intense, still respectful, a little laid back, but having the conversations that are real uncomfortable. And I know it's not gonna be popular. The opinions might be some that you've heard before, it might be some that you never thought of, but about time to start putting these things into the atmosphere because the thought inspires the change. I wanted to title this first Monday episode as "Who Is You?" Right? Because it seems like introductory conversation, but nah, when you out on a person and you maneuvering through life, you really gotta ask yourself that question, and then you gotta ask other people that question, either verbally out loud or in your head, because the audacity is crazy. Like you'll be doing something and you'll be communicating and have a certain expectation for how things are supposed to go, and then somebody will hit you with an action or they'll have words for you that make you think like, who, who you think you are? Like, for real, who is you? Like, you tripping. But it go deeper than that. There's so many different ways to even take that, but I want to focus on more so who are you and where you at. Not physical location where you at, but more so plotting out life. Because once you got the end goal in mind, then you can pick and choose your decisions left or right, this or that from there. So, step one, who are you? What's important to you? What things are you valuing? What are your goals? And where are you? Like, okay, you know what your goals are. That means you have the ability to prioritize them and put one on the far end and one on the short end, and then basically map out everything in between. So, where are you in that process on your journey? Where are you? Where have you made it to? That's conversation. If you talk to a lot of your friends, have conversations with adults out and about, they sound more lost than the kids do. And that's when society started to get crazy. When kids have a better answer for who they are and where they're going than the adults do, at that point, who's the adult? And over the weekend, a few things we talked about last week came to fruition. Some events happened, news unfolded. And if you ask those questions, then you'll be like, okay, things got a little bit clearer. For example, talking about Shador Sanders, Cleveland Browns. Knows exactly who he is. Play quarterback. Where are you in the process of trying to earn my job? So when you see all the drama that's unfolding around him, oh, fourth string on the depth chart, I ain't got a numerous amount of haters that dislike you regardless of how you perform. Regardless of who you talk to, how respectful you show yourself to be, they're still asking, who are you? But for people who ask that question themselves, you understand that no, they know the answer. They know who he is. They just don't like who he is. And you start to transition that I'm this person and I'm surrounded by these people who don't like me for being that person, which is a pretty decent outlook on life. Once you know yourself, then you know how you react to your environment. You know how people and things around you, how they affect you. Heard it. I don't remember where I heard it in life, but once you know your inner, then you know the outer. So the better you know yourself, the better you know the world around you. That's basically the entire thought process behind today's episode. So, start with myself. Who am I? Individual that grew up in Indianapolis, Indiana. That's why it's called No Cap in Indianapolis. Not to talk about gossip in the city, not to talk about who's doing this, who's doing that, the changes I think I need to see, or my opinion on what's going on. Nah, just this is my environment. This is who I am. This is what's important to me. This is how I see things unfolding around me. And then this is my thought process that I adapted and adopted based on my interactions. Because even though Indianapolis, I'm everywhere maneuvering. With social media is crazy. It doesn't matter what city you in. Everybody everywhere saying the same things, experiencing the same things, having the same thoughts, sharing the same behaviors. So for the first time in human history, it really doesn't matter where your physical location is. Which is why I'm asking the question, where are you? Not physically, because with the internet in your pocket, y'all, if you use Snapchat or now Instagram, because Instagram's doing it now too, we all on that same map. So it's basically like we went from cities and rural areas around the cities to now it's just one big metropolis, and there's a lot of distance between, but it's a shared space. So now that you basically relating and interacting with people that are farther than ever before, but they feel closer than ever before. Not geographical location, it's more so philosophical location or psychological location. Where are you on a scale of here to here? I feel terrible. I'm ready to be done. To it's amazing. It can't get any better. Or you got x axis and y axis. Damn, this is where my goal is, and this is where my true goal is. This is the short term. This is the long term. Where am I on this axis? How successful have I been in my own mind, and how do I feel about it? If you were to map it out, that's the true question that's being asked right now. Because with everybody carving out their own niche and riding their own lanes, it kind of got so misconstrued that we had to be independent and individual, that when you actually look up from your grind, you realize you're not really in your own lane at all. It's crazy. It's like the Tour de France. I can't say it's like a highway, because a highway you gotta pivot, you gotta be on your P's and Q's looking around. It's more like a bike race where your head's down, you pedaling, and you feel like, man, I'm running my race, I'm doing things differently. Just to finally look up and realize everybody I see is doing the same thing that I'm doing. So where am I really? If you were to assess certain situations, the answer would turn out to be I'm in the middle of the wave. I don't know where the wave is going because I don't control the wave. I don't even know where the wave started because I wasn't here when the wave started. Just along, I'm a grain of sand that got washed up into it, and wherever it goes, I go. That's the most prevalent answer, but that's not the answer you should have when you leave this place. The answer you should have should be based on your experiences while you went through this thing called life. And as much as we tend to group ourselves like sheep, you're still an individual. Nobody lived your life the way you lived it. So your answer shouldn't even be that close to somebody else's. Your co-stars should be different. Your cameos should be different. Your experiences, even though if they're similar, location could be different. How you perceived what happened should be different. The where are you it should be a lot more distant than it is. Because even though we all in like one super huge geographical location, it should be, it should feel like miles away. So instead of looking at distance through like a social media map, looking at distance through, you got to go outside and walk it. Yeah, me and you are both in San Diego, but you on the south side. You I'm skipping a jump from Mexico. I'm on the north side. I'm on my way to LA. Now try to walk that. Completely different. And it should be applauded for somebody to be different organically and not just because you want to be a contrarian. Because you don't have to look at somebody and try to not be them in order to be yourself. So why should the location that we speaking of, the theoretical location that we speaking of, why shouldn't that be just as different? So one of the issues that I really have nagging at me, I know of course dating is always going to be an issue just because if you look at the numbers, people aren't getting married. And the ones who are getting married, it's not lasting as long as it used to. All the social changes that are occurring, socioeconomic changes that are occurring, the political and economic changes that are occurring, all impacting us. All these different factors are impacting us. And with all of these changes happening that all seem to be detrimental and seem to put us in a whirlwind. So you riding a wave, and the wave is just so happens to be turning into a tsunami. So you have no real destination. You just going with the flow, and wherever you end up, you end up riding in that space in life, but not knowing who you are or where you want to be in life. That's the quickest way to self destruction and a waste of life. Because if you have nothing to work for, nothing to look forward to, you really just biding time. And you can't do anything productive with people who are just biding time. With somebody who has no purpose, serves no purpose, and can't even put into a frame of an idea into their mind of what they would potentially want to do, can't build with that. And as an individual, if that's you, then you don't see a purpose in anything, so you don't value anything. And that kind of ideology reverberates when it comes to gun violence, when it comes to simple things like having conversation, when it comes to growing up, educating yourself. You don't have a sense of self, you don't value anything. And if you don't value anything, you just here. One of the things I wanted to specifically speak on, coming from Indianapolis, and I'm sure people from other cities feel the same ways, life is starting to feel like high school. And kids that's in high school, they not being in high school, you won't recognize it. But once you've graduated and you've basically grabbed that diploma, walked across the stage, and you finished that area of life, you then recognize that, man, life is really like high school right now. There used to be not actual grabbing a diploma, but there used to be a graduation stage in life where something happened and boom, like that, you actually felt like an adult. You felt like you were going about adult business and you felt mentally disconnected from the things that kids were doing. Part of it is social media, the other part of it is social expectations changing. For example, there used to be a such thing as grown folk business. Adults would have conversation that kids weren't privy to, and they, not the kids, the adults made sure the kids weren't privy to it to protect them and allow them to grow and be their own. Because majority of adult conversation is how to manage trauma, positive and negative trauma. This good event, this bad event, but all of these events that happen once you're of age and you're completely responsible for yourself. But with social media, every conversation is online. Conversation that kids are having, adults are privy to, and because of the impact of social media, I want to be cool. I want to fit in. So I'm gonna talk about it as well. And the herd, the, the wave, the tsunami bends in that direction. But it's being led by children. Children shouldn't be leading adults. Adults should be leading children. But social media part, adults have their ways of managing that. It's supposed to be a tool that was created by society. So it's supposed to be impacted by social expectations and not the other way around. It sounds like a lot of words, but to alliterate it and give it a different perspective, football players used to have their own celebrations. They used to do things, and then kids would take what they saw on football fields, especially in the NFL, even in college football, if you had the right athletes and the right teams. Kids would see that on TV, and then they would take that and then go outside and mimic it. Now it's the other way around, where the athletes mimic what they see online. They're not creating anything. They're picking up what's being fed, and to get into that wave, I'm gonna copy it. Then I can relate to people, and my celebrity will then attach me to it. But I didn't create anything. I didn't influence anything. If anything, I let it influence me, and that's what's happening in society, where those who are in power relinquish that power and then gave it to people who should not have that power. And it could be anything from outfits to dating to expectations to the farthest ends of things like social behavior, social skills. And the problem used to be something that was like super huge but fixable. Now it's, man, it's so far gone and it's so huge. We can't even walk up to the side of a mountain and then try to perceive the entire mountain. That's how big the problem has gotten now. Because I wouldn't even know how to start to even take it all in. Where do I climb it at? Where do I start? Where does it end? How wide is it? How tall is it? You can't even measure the size of the issue. So trying to fix it seems impossible. But it's not. But right now, they feel like it. It's up to grown people to bring back masculinity, and that's gonna be it's gonna be a huge thought process for me because I've thought about all the symptoms of masculine behaviors, masculine impact on society, how it shows itself, what the results are, and the effects of such ideas, and all of it's necessary. Goes back to knowing yourself, then you'll know what's going on outside and around you. There's so much femininity in the world that the only way to tame it is to balance back out and be more masculine in society. What you mean? Let me explain it to you. If you didn't know, your imagination is considered a feminine trait. So to be creative and to be in a creative space is to be in a feminine state of mind. The only thing that calls that creativity and the imagination from being just absolutely chaotic is having a framework, having boundaries, and having discipline, structure. That's masculine. So if you have outrageous behavior, masculinity would be the consequences to that behavior. Or if something is happening and people are just supporting it and nurturing it and doing it just because it feels good, that's feminine. No, I'm being goal oriented and I'm going after something. I'm focused on something. Eyes on the prize. That's masculine. Need to bring back masculinity. Who are you? Are you an individual that supports things just because people think it because people feel it, just because it's popular? Or are you somebody who you have morals and a foundation that you operate based off of, and every decision you make is seen through the lens of how does this impact my self identity, my sense of self? How does this impact it? Am I jeopardizing any of my beliefs, or am I standing on something? That needs to be instituted immediately, immediately, because the people who are the stewards of masculinity, they gave up on that a long time ago. It's I don't want to get into argument about identity politics or this or that, but to be quite frank, we've known for a while now that American culture is pushed by Black people. Whatever we like, it becomes contagious and everybody likes it. It's crazy when somebody that's Caucasian makes a song and Black people love it, the song booms like it's the best song ever. Example, Chris Stapleton, Tennessee Whiskey. Black people love that song. One of the few country songs Black people will sing out loud. Booms. But if it's a song that is big, but Black people don't really cling to it, comes and goes. That's just a small, minuscule example. So, what Black people value, other people value. Go past music, clothes, jewelry, cars, things that Blacks aspire to and aspire for, or things that other people aspire to or aspire for. Cadillac hasn't been the same since Black people stopped seeing it as the top notch. Once upon a time, getting a Cadillac was the biggest thing you could do. And once Black people fell off of it, you can you can search and see how the stock did. Not the same. Designer clothes. Once you start seeing Black people wearing it, it's gonna blow up. Now, what values do Black people reverberate through society? What are what are some ground rules that we stand on at every turn? Regardless of what you do, it's just in you that, nah, we're not doing that. You might think there aren't any, but there are a few, but they're attached directly to survival. From leaving, anytime there's like a major incident or something crazy has happened out in public, instinct, like people, everybody else. Because self preservation is a unspoken rule. Hey, even if I want to see you dead, and these things happen, there are people who have these kind of grudges against others. They'll still understand when fight or flight takes out and things happen. But besides that, what other ground rules and morals do we openly celebrate that we stand on? How do we feel about marriage? How do we feel about sustained marriage? How do we feel about divorce? What's our approach to parenting? What's our approach to the village concept of parenting, or you parenting someone else's children? What's our approach to education, professionalism, starting your own company? What's our approach to somebody just being a good role model? That quiet is basically the answer you'll get, because person to person, you'll get a different response. And then hearing that response is different from seeing their response. To go back to that public incident situation, the people who take off and run, it's instinct to take off and run, but everybody who runs doesn't promote themselves as somebody who run. There are people who are skedaddling in that direction and took off. Usain Bolt, Tyson Gay, Noah Lyles, out of here. But if you would have had a conversation with them, man, I'm standing 10 toes on business. I ain't scared of nothing but God. I'm gonna be 10 toes right here. What you said don't match what you do. And it's the same with morality. And this is the part of the conversation where don't say judging, but I say assessing the actions and turning these questions that you're asking yourself and spinning them and addressing them as a perspective, a lens perspective on others. Who are you? What do you say to me? And then what do I see you do? Where are you? What do you say is important to you? And then what do you show is important to you? And based on, again, that XY axis, where are you actually at the axis? These are tough questions. And they're questions that need to be asked in every decision. See the thumbnail photo on the video is a fork in the road because the fork in the road is basically that question. If you stop seeing it as there's a million things to be and there's a million things to do, and you actually put detailed information right there, right at that fork, then it becomes so easy to make decisions that you do it blindfolded. Instead of saying, who are you? Put that answer of who you think you are right there. Then every decision you make, you'll be looking at it and go, okay, these are the options. I can do that or I can do this. And it becomes real apparent what you should do. Life is really that simple. It's not, life isn't easy, but life is simple. There are so many different factors that play into life that skew our judgment or cloud our perspective. But majority of your decision making is as easy as this or that. Just pick one. It's when you don't want to look at that fork in the road and you pull the blindfold right down over your eyes. You have somebody spin you around 3 times, and then you try to pin the tail on a donkey that you end up lost because the choices are still the same. You looking at the same fork in the road. Your entire life's journey is just you walking past the same fork in the road until you finally end up at your end destination. But you got to ask yourself these questions in order to acknowledge the decision. Otherwise, you spin it in a circle. Like that tsunami. You just going in a circle, not acknowledging the decision, so you're not making a choice. So you're not even getting past that same fork. You're still in the same spot. And that's very unfortunate because there's somebody behind you waiting for you to make that decision. And they watching you, seeing what decision you make. That's what makes life so interesting is the fact that even though it's your decision to make and you're the one filling out that sign to put who you are and where you are up there, there's somebody who sees what you put on there. There are people who see what you put on there. And then they're watching what decision you make or whether you make a decision or not. And what you do at that fork in the road determines how people see you and how much respect they have for you. Because along that journey, even though you're headed towards your end destination, there are people behind you. And respect will determine whether they help you make a decision or whether they let you just stand there and look stupid and then walk around you. Because if you have respect and you acknowledge the decision that needs to be made, everybody from close friends to family to distant strangers or walk up to you while you're at that sign and help you make a choice. And these aren't even grandiose decisions most of the time. It isn't that I start this business for childcare because I love children, or that I start this mental health facility. These can be decisions just as simple as, should I buy this outfit or not? Should I go out and drink or not? Should I put this filter on this picture I just took or not? And the things that are like minuscule decisions like that have a humongous effect on how people see you. I, don't believe me? Try it out. On social media, everything changed in social media. MySpace was, hey, you see the people I rock with, and I'm genuinely interested in who you rock with. They were teaching us how to code, but beyond codeness, I'm seeing your creativity and I'm seeing you grow in this space that we all share. And you either inspiring me to grow, or I'm becoming more self conscious of my growth based on what I'm presenting. MySpace was the most introspective social media there was. Then you get to Facebook. Man, these connections, I need to make as many connections as possible. It's not about me looking at myself anymore. It's me looking outwardly at others. What do other people have going on? Who do I need to interact with? How can I interact with them? But the day after, or the social media after Facebook, is when things started to get skewed, because you went from MySpace introspective to Facebook, where you're being more social. It truly was a social networking app. Now you have Snapchat, where it's more so about, how can I communicate short term impulses. These are thoughts I'm having right now. These are things I'm doing right now. These are temporary communication devices. These snaps I'm sending to you. If I won't, you'll never see it again. There's nothing more symptomatic of an impulse than a snap sent that can't be screenshot, won't be seen again, can't be saved. Just in that moment, you get to experience it, and then maybe never again. Fun while you working on it. There's a lot of things that keep you attracted to it. Save all the photos you want, have as many interactions as you want, and then have your privacy. But what comes with that? The impulsiveness. I need to do this, I need to do that, I need to do this, I need to do that. You're no longer thinking about how it's affecting you. And you're no longer cognizant of how you're affecting others. So self-awareness completely disappeared when you got to Snapchat. And then the step past that, when you get to Instagram. Instagram was probably the worst influence in the world for a period of time, because we're no longer friends. We went from, here are my closest friends, to, here are my friends, mutual friends, to, how many people I got following me. And the psychological difference between a friend and a follower is massive. In the Bible, it didn't say Jesus had thousands of friends, it said followers. A friend is somebody that you share common ground with. Y'all interact with each other and you see each other as equals. There's a positive connection. A follower is somebody who holds you on a pedestal. It it's not the same level of appreciation. Follower is somebody that holds you as a model, as an example. A friend sees you as an example as well, but when you on the same level as an example, it's okay, boom, this happened to you. Let me make sure this is how I move when it happens to me. A follower is somebody who's just, man, you're special. It's enough for me just to be happy watching you live your life. And Decade plus later, that's how people treat it. Man, what's my ratio look like? How many people are following me compared to how many people am I following? Seedlings of mental illness started popping up. Who do I follow that doesn't follow me back? Man, I got to unfollow them. My ratio is off. Who's following me that I'm no longer interested in? I don't want to know anything about your life, but I want you to be a follower of what I have going on. It creates a false sense of celebrity. Follower. Normal people, we're all normal people, start seeing themselves as special. And got to say it again, everybody's unique, nobody is special. But people start seeing themselves as special, as different, separate from. I need you to be interested in what I have going on, but I have no interest in what you have going on. The transactional experience of social interaction is completely dead. I'm on a pedestal. Subconsciously, I know you have me on a pedestal, but I need you to push that pedestal up higher. Carry me on your shoulders. That false sense of celebrity leads to an overinflated ego. And when you see people like that, you go back to that fork in the road. Who are they? What is this person known for? What do they celebrate? What morals do they have? Do you value the same things as them? If you value the same things, it should be able to be a bridge to connection where you guys see each other as equals and then you can build a friendship. But if you don't see the connection and you don't value the same things, what's the purpose? Are you interested in who they are or are you interested in where they are? If you're not interested in who they are, you don't know what they value. So somebody can be a multimillionaire. They can be as successful as the richest man in the world. Start Amazon. I could be Jeff Bezos, but what if my end goal wasn't Amazon? What if Amazon was just the beginning? What if my end goal was I need to cure all human illness, all social issues? I need to relax the social climate. I need to be able to protect the earth for generations after us. I'm going to use Amazon as the hub to achieve that. What if he never achieves it? And best he can do is create Amazon. You don't know him. So from a distance, man, making $1 billion is amazing. But to create something that makes you the richest man in the world, that's even better. You've made a long term goal out of somebody's short term goal. The intentions aren't the same. So the decision making isn't the same because the frame of mind isn't the same. You don't know who I am, so you don't know where I am. Again, it's not about geographical location. We can be in the same city, we can be next to each other at the same party, but my frame of mind and my approach to life is who I am. You focused on money, I'm focused on something that's way past that. And the money was just a byproduct of how to get there. There's no connection there. And the respect that you give me from that, you can support Amazon, put money into it, invest in it. The respect that you give me is not the respect I'm looking for because the values aren't the same. If I just want to be a good person, I just want to make it through school safely and be educated, but you respect me because I beat up the bully on the first day of school, that's a false sense of respect. My goals are here and your goals are somewhere that I never valued. So what are we doing? And it impacts everything. Everything. I'm trying to tell you. Look, if you have a unpopular opinion and then you were to look around and see the other people who share that same opinion as you, but they're not the kind of people that you agree with, you don't like the kind of people they are, that would force you to reassess your opinion. You'd have to, because I don't feel like I'm that type of person, but the people who have this same opinion as me are this type of person. So regardless of how you feel about yourself, people are going to see you as one of those type of people. You, there's nothing you'll be able to do about it. It takes a lifetime to build respect. It only takes one circumstance in order for you to lose it. And that's why who you are and where you are and how you behave are so important. And that fork in the road decision that you're making, be it something big or something very minute, is important. I've had a conversation with a young lady before where like I attract a certain kind of man, but I don't understand why. I'm this quality of a woman, but I keep attracting this less than optimal quality of a man. I'm like, okay, let's take a look at your life. First thing you wanted to show was, okay, here's my Instagram. Okay, I understand why you attract such a man. What do you mean? The type of woman that you claim to be doesn't match the behaviors that you show others. We, there's no way around it. We make instant judgments and decisions on people because our brain, that's how it operates. You are to receive stimuli or trauma and then make a decision based on that experience. You listening to a certain type of music, automatically in somebody else's brain, they're gonna group you with people that they see listening to the same music. So regardless if you have a PhD and you could teach liberal arts at a local high school for free. The fact that I saw you out listening to fill in the blank artists, I'm automatically going to group you in with these people because that decision you made at that fork in the road, the people who are watching you make the decision, that's determining who you are to them. So from the music you listening to, are you publicizing yourself listening to that? The pictures you take, you want me to respect you as a woman, but in your pictures, using the same filters as the women who don't care about the respect. The makeup looks the same, the outfits look the same. And then the biggest flag is if you don't want me to sexualize you, why your sexual features prominent in the photos that you displaying? You shouldn't look at me like that. No, you shouldn't show yourself like that. It's easier for you to control your behavior than it is for somebody to restructure how the human body operates. And for you to have that expectation of somebody is, nah, bro. Like, nah. The man, you want to be seen as respectful. The minute your pants sag once and the right person sees you, you already you typecast as a certain type of individual. No way around it. The minute you flash your money, you're a certain type of individual. Biggest example, wear a suit. It doesn't matter what you do in your life. You wear a suit one time, the entire experience of life is gonna change. And most men who've been out in public wearing a suit understand it. You can be the most hood boogerish nigga that ever exist. If you look good and you out in a suit, people gonna see that side and they're gonna always remember it. There's no way around it. Easy. And that leads to my perspective. and where it's being shaped at as as a black man raised in America, you have to be cognizant of all of these things. It doesn't matter how high or low our IQ or EQ is. Every black man that is still alive right now, whether subconsciously or front of mind, understands each decision holds value. Where I'm at, who I'm with, who I talk to, what opinion I share, what job I get, all of these things matter because in America, African American men are at the very bottom of the totem pole. We're at the part of the totem pole that's underneath the ground. And I'm not here to argue it. It's history and facts show it. So for people who get the least amount of leeway, that means you also have to be the most socially conscious and aware of the decisions you make every day. And for higher IQ individuals, when you're aware of it, you empower yourself because you manipulate it. For those who aren't aware of it, even subconsciously, they're aware of it and they make subconscious decisions that show that they're aware of it. But I can't verbally express why I'm making such a decision, which is why who are you and where are you? Answering these two questions opens up an entirely different view on the world. Your view on life changes because if you know who you are again and you know where your goals lie, then you know what decisions are to be made in different circumstances and what factors play a role in that decision. I want to be a business owner. You can pick a random business. Let's say I want to open a nail shop as a black man. You a man, so it's already a stigma against you getting your nails done. That means I have to be cognizant of not of opening a nail shop, but who's working there? What's my clientele? How do I go about getting the clientele? How do we interact with the clientele? Do I prioritize money or do I prioritize the service? Who do I have represent me? Do I represent myself? Do I have other black men represent me? And these are all questions that every business owner is going to ask. Everybody who opens a nail salon is going to have to ask these questions. But as a black man, you have to then take all those questions and then run them through. Okay, here's my identity. So here's how things are going to be perceived. You have the least amount of leeway. So you have the shortest leash possible. People have to experience you, and there's small like the smallest possible range, the smallest possible, like so close it's touching line of demarcation where I have to be perfect. I have to walk and never cross that line because once there's one bad experience because you have such a short leash, if somebody publicizes that they had that bad experience, there's going to be an onslaught of bad experiences. It takes one time for you to mess up and then the end of it. Another example, Asians. They don't have such a short leash. Not in America. Everybody that goes to a nail salon has had a bad experience at a nail salon where somebody cut their finger, they did their nails incorrectly, there was a blemish, a nail was broken, there was some kind of bad experience, but it didn't result in the business having to be shut down. And it's not because there was a different level of service. The exact same event could happen, but because of how you experience life and how people see you, the end result ends up being different. And you have to take all these things into consideration. So you got to go back to, you got to get back to it. Who am I? Learning my inner because I learned who I am. I know how people around me operate. I know how the environment operates because I'm there. So I know how to maneuver, how to change my decision making. And that awareness is where the respect comes from. Whether you conscious of it or not, the respect comes from the evaluation of the quality of decision you made. Even if it's on accident, if you make the right decision or people can relate to your decision, respect comes. If you make the wrong decision or you do something that people wouldn't partake in, you lose respect. As simple as that. And that's just keeping on the up and up. That's from ground zero to positivity on the respect scale. There's the other side that goes from ground zero to disrespect. And the volatility on that scale is to the umpteenth degree compared to on the positive side. To lose respect, the reaction is not as egregious or as inflammatory as to not have respect and be disrespected. So you going through these decisions and you at that fork in the road trying to go left or go right, and the respect goes from none to having some. Then you got the people who spinning or just sitting there, they didn't lay down at that fork in the road in front of others instead of making the decision. And then you got the disrespect. It, it's a tough world we live in. And when you having these social media interactions or you have these social interactions, if you are cognizant of the fork in the road and who, where conversation is appearing in your head, it becomes just so easy to maneuver through life and then to communicate. The people who don't know who they are or where they are the worst communicators. The more aware you are of these answers, the better you can communicate because you don't have to think about it. It's front of mind. The worst communicators are the ones who I don't live it. My beliefs aren't tied into my thought process. So you confused, you chaotic. There's no streamline of consistency. What you think should resonate in your actions and in your communication. So, for instance, one of the popular things that happens today is with people who are parenting. That's going to be parenting is going to be its own conversation within itself because personally, I used to say teen fuck them kids because really really was my approach to it, but it was never about the children. Man, them kids for me, I can't speak for everybody else, but it was more so about these parents are so overbearing or think that they know the best and nobody else should interact with their children. They become so frigid and uncomfortable to interact with. It's like, all right, cool. You and them kids. The kids gonna miss out on positive interactions and positive role modeling simply because you are such a dickhead. So it's fuck them kids because it's fuck you, honestly. And to get to that point, you start to see that I don't even want to consider who somebody is or where they are in life because I don't see them making the decision. They posted right there in that spot. And instead of making the decision, they just, I'm staying right here. we can talk about judgment because judgment is going to happen regardless of what you do in life. You can't control people having an opinion, what they see. If you don't want people to have an opinion, don't show them. Simple. You can't make a judgment on something that you have no knowledge existing or occurring. But when you get into a situation where, as humans, we are animals, at the end of the day, we're social animals. We have to interact with each other. The more you socialize and the better social health that you have, the longer life you're likely to live. I can give you the numbers, but be at a later date. But interacting and having communication is an intricate part of your quality of life. So when you get to a point where you now have to start interacting with others, and then you start to look at things through that perspective of what you would do because you know what's important to you, judging somebody's why isn't really the issue as much as, and do you understand your why? And that's where a lot of the issues arise. You don't know why you're doing something, you're just doing it. Or you said you want this, but if you were to think about that decision first, the inconsistency arises. So I try to push it as much as possible. Who are you? Where are you? Not where you at, because ain't the same thing. Where are you? On your X and Y axis. What's important to you? What goals you're after? Where you are on that axis that shapes majority of your life. Simple as that. So to not have the conversation with yourself, you're not doing anybody any favors. To be around people and you don't expect them to have that conversation, you're not doing yourself any favors. To not recognize and be aware of people who are themselves aware, you're not doing yourself any favors. Because you're going to impact others and the others are going to impact you. And you're going to mimic whatever you see, or you're going to base your decisions off the information you have. So to not give yourself all the information possible or put yourself in the best position possible to make the best decision for you really make you a dickhead, no cap. And no, there's no need to be that. You don't have to be that. Like, there's an easier way to be in life than lost because it's going to show itself. Being lost mentally is going to show itself in your actions. So that where are you when you find that there is no point on somebody's XY axis, it illegitimizes everything that you know about, honestly. And for you to not have a point that you can show to others, it illegitimizes you. And there's so many ways you can have this conversation. There's so many different areas you can take it. And if you see this conversation as a magnifying glass and you start holding it over issues, the answers become as easy as left or right. So if you don't do anything else before you pass or before you get to the next stage, you should be able to answer these two questions. And then you should be able to visualize the fork in the road with every decision. And you have to go through this same process consistency over and over again before you can consistently start making decisions without having to go through the mental visualization. You'll be able to just do it subconsciously because you've already thought about it, and it becomes easier. And you can have a conversation about respect and start having actual conversation on communication, which is the toughest thing ever. To talk about communication is uncomfortable for people because they know how to talk, but they don't know how to converse. So, in some way, shape, or form, they don't know the answer to one of those questions. But get to that at a later date, man. About 9, 10. Been on here for about an hour. Get back to it tomorrow. Need to start posting more just to get some more engagement, more interaction on what conversations need to be had and get more perspective. Because, like I said, this is podcasting is new for me. I'm somebody who I rarely share my opinions outwardly because constantly watching, constantly assessing, constantly learning. And then for me to actively communicate it out front, it brings so much hoopla to provide an unpopular opinion that the juice ends up being really worth the squeeze. But now I see it as past that. I see it more like this podcast is me exercising my brain and doing yoga for my brain because it hurts at the beginning, but then the more you stretch, the easier it gets, and then you realize just how important it was for you to stretch to begin with. Then you can easily get other people to do it because they've been needing it, but they've been needing that one example to be in front of them. They need to see somebody make that decision at that fork in the road so then they can start making the decision for themselves. But again, long winded. I got to get used to having these conversations and interacting. But as you slowly build and take it a day at a time, I'm going to start to get there when it comes to having the more detail oriented, complex, or very micro conversations and start using specific examples to be able to actually put more perspective and real life examples to play to be able to help people relate to what's going on. Because end of the day, just want to converse and be able to sit down and give people a space to communicate and not be judged, but to find a place of understanding that right or wrong get closer to the truth and it helps validate your experience. So ride with me. We're gonna get a lot more conversation, a lot more different topics. We're gonna go from macro to micro, from ideology to sociology, psychology, all the social sciences to specific interactions of what's going on in the world today. I mean, it's gonna be needed.